This is Cheryl. She's dead. Bobby, dead. And little Madyson, also dead. With new data and information added, this is the case of the mysterious vanishing of the Jamisons family. This case, so strange and bizarre, it eluded the police department and the best of amateur detectives for many years. With theories connecting the Jamisons family to many situations that could explain their fate, from a murder-suicide to the Mexican cartel to the dark occult world. The explanation of how a whole family got missing in a small town and 3 bodies ended up in the woods after many days of extensive search is quite mysterious. This is the case of the mysterious vanishing of the Jamisons family.
Welcome to Quid. Here we share solved and unsolved cases. We hope that by sharing these stories, we all become more aware of the types of crimes that happen around us. And by doing so, we become smarter at detecting and hopefully preventing similar crimes. Let's get started.
Looking in from the outside, the Jamisons family would quickly be categorized as the American perfect happy family. They seem to have everything going on well for themselves. But a very close look into the family would reveal that they are a family suffering from all manner of problems. The mother, Sherilynn, suffered from chronic bipolar. Her husband, Bobby, had an unfortunate accident leaving him daily dealing with excruciating pain. And 6-year-old Madyson was believed to speak with some dark and evil spirits, which was said to live on the property. The same property they were trying to escape from, going in search of available land for sale, which ended up in their demise. On October 8, 2009, the Jamisons family, consisting of Bobby, aged 44, his wife Sherilynn, aged 40, and their 6-year-old daughter Madyson, went missing a few days before Halloween. Their remains would never be found until 4 years later, despite an extensive full-scale search party which comprised over 300 people, including police, dogs, drones, and even horses. And this was how it all started. The Vanishing. On October 17, 2009, exactly 9 days from when the Jamisons family were last seen, some hunters in a remote location in the woods of Eufaula, Oklahoma, discovered a locked truck. Abandoned inside the truck were found a wallet, a purse, a GPS device, a cell phone, and $32,000 in a backpack stacked below the driver's seat, and a dog that seemed to be a pet named Maisie, who was stuck in the vehicle for 9 days, malnourished and unbelievably still alive. Investigators found out that these items belonged to the Jamisons family, who lived in Eufaula, Oklahoma. They had planned to live in a storage container on a 40-acre piece of land they were planning to buy. The Jamisons were last seen on October 8, 2009, by a man who lived in the mountain in southeastern Oklahoma. However, the man made it clear to the authorities that he only saw the family and nobody else in the area during that time. This found truck showed no signs of struggle. The sheriff at the crime scene observing the untouched truck stated that he thinks the Jamison family were forced to stop and ordered to meet with someone they recognized. They left willingly or with the use of force. The GPS unit in the truck indicated that the family were headed up onto a hill prior to where their truck was found. The investigators couldn't help but follow the leading of the GPS, and on arriving, they found footprints. On October 17, 2009, over 300 people, including volunteers, offered to go on a search, both in the air and on the ground. But unfortunately, the woods became too cold and the search was canceled. It was years later, on October 16, 2013, as hunters were scouting for deers, they stumbled upon skeletal remains of 3 bodies, 2 adults and of 1 child. These remains were found nearly 3 miles away from where the Jamisons family had disappeared years earlier. A search was conducted by the authorities, and items such as shoes, clothes, adult teeth, and adult arm and leg bone fragments were found. These bones were soon confirmed to be that of the Jamisons family. Dr. Joshua Lanter, the Oklahoma State Medical Examiner, made a report that the cause and manner in which the Jamisons family died were unknown. And this was possibly because the skeletal remains were not complete. Dr. Lanter further stated that there was no evidence of trauma. It was further reported that the death of the Jamison family were under suspicious circumstances. It was gathered that there were some items missing from the investigation, which were a missing briefcase, a .22 caliber handgun, which was registered by Sherilynn Jamison. These items were never found. Bobby and Sherilynn Jamison were not working at the time of their disappearance, and this is because they had different disabilities, and this warranted them to receive disability checks. Bobby had been involved in a car accident that caused his disability. Sherilynn's mother, Connie Kokatan, stated that she had no idea of any settlement from the car accident that explained the $32,000 in cash found in the abandoned truck. No one seemed to know where the money came from. A former sheriff, Israel Beauchamp, stated that there were no signs that the Jamisons family were in trouble or looking to start a new life. The security camera found outside the Jamisons' home showed that on the day they left, the couple made silent trips from the car to their home in a trance-like manner. It reported that sometimes they would just stop and stare into nothing. Theories. Apparently, there have been different theories proposed by the police and the public in regards to this case. And the chilling thing about these theories are they seem plausible and could very well have really happened. Theory 1. Lost in the woods theory. The first theory is the Jamisons family got lost in the woods and died of hypothermia and exposure. Also, the area where the Jamisons were last seen experienced heavy rains, although not strong enough to cause their deaths. It was reported 40 degrees as the coldest during that period. And remember, their bodies were found almost 3 miles from their truck. Theory 2. The murder-suicide theory. This one seems a bit off. The second theory is that the demise of the Jamisons family was a murder-suicide scenario. A suspicious letter of 11 pages long was found in the Jamisons' truck. This letter was called a hate letter, written from Sherilynn Jamison to Bobby Jamison. In this letter, she accused him of being abusive. Another letter was found in their home, written about death again and again. Sheriff Israel Beauchamp stated that this family were certainly obsessed with the topic of death. However, Sherilynn's mother insisted that Bobby and Sherilynn were good parents and that she believes that they were killed. She argued that there was no way Bobby and Sherilynn would ever let anything happen to Madyson, their daughter, unless something had been done to them. Theory 3. The Bob Dean Theory. The third theory was that Bobby and Sherilynn were murdered by Bob Dean Jamison, Jamison's father. Bob Dean Jamison was 67 years old. In 2009, 6 months before the Jamisons family disappeared, Bobby had filed a protective order against his father. It was alleged that Bob had threatened to kill Bobby and his wife Sherilynn and his daughter Madyson on 2 separate occasions, in April of 2008 and November of 2009. Bobby didn't give any details on how Bob, his father, threatened him. He did write that Bob hit him with his vehicle and stated his father was a dangerous man who thought that he was above the law. He accused his father of being involved with prostitutes, gangs, and meth. It was further stated in Bobby's petition that he, Bobby, was scared, as well as his entire family. There were testimonies given concerning the case, but a judge dismissed the case on 18th May 2009. Bobby was at some point in the process of suing his father at the time of his disappearance and that of his wife and daughter. Theory 4. Murdered by a cult theory. The fourth theory, which is quite bizarre, states that the Jamisons family were murdered by a cult. Sherilynn's mother, Kokatan, believed that they were murdered by a religious cult in eastern Oklahoma. According to Kokatan, the cult had a, quote, hit list that Sherilynn was on. A close friend of Sherilynn, whose name was Nikki Chenault, claims she received a phone call from an anonymous woman. This woman told Chenault that she had once been in a white supremacy group that kept a book containing a list of people who had been problems for them. This woman claimed that she had seen so many names on the list which she had taken interest in and checked them out on the internet. A lot of these names were of those who had gone missing in times past. On that list, she found Bobby and Sherilynn's names. Sherilynn said she had no idea what to make of the caller. Once, a 1993 article in the Oklahoma stated that a few cults had sprung up around eastern Oklahoma, although a U.S. Marshal named James Webb had stated that there hasn't been any activity in a couple of years. Theory 5. The Witch Theory. It was further suggested that the Jamisons family was also into witchcraft, and this was because a witch Bible was reportedly found in the Jamisons family home. Nikki Sherilynn, Sherilynn's friend, claims that Sherilynn brought the witch Bible as a joke, although their pastor in Eufaula claimed that Bobby confessed that he was reading a satanic Bible. Mysterious writings were found on the large container, which was on the Jamisons' property, that talked about 3 cats being killed to buy people's souls in the area. Shortly before their disappearance, Sherilynn's mother, Kokatan, said she began to notice some odd behavior from her daughter, claiming she became very illogical. She said her daughter drove her to Oklahoma City and dropped her off on the street. Sherilynn ordered her to get out of the car, and she did. The main evidence of strange behavior was the security tape earlier mentioned, where the 2 Jamison parents appeared to be in a trance-like state. The Jamisons claimed to have 3 to 4 ghosts living in their home. Father Gary Brandon, the pastor in Eufaula, told the investigators that Bobby had once called him to ask about special bullets that could be used to kill spirits. The final theory believes that drugs were involved. It is believed that the strange behavior from the Jamisons' parents could be explained by the influence of drugs. Rumors were that the Jamisons' parents were involved with drugs, and many believed that the family was involved in a drug deal. Sherilynn's mother, Kokatan, did not believe drugs were involved, and that her daughter and son-in-law were straight, but the $32,000 found was a puzzle she can't seem to solve, as there was no way the Jamisons had that kind of money. Sheriff Israel Beauchamp didn't believe that the Jamison family did drugs. In fact, he stated that there was no evidence backing the theory that the Jamisons used or dealt with drugs, but he couldn't rule out the possibility that drugs could have been somehow involved in the Jamisons' disappearance. There were also other believers that came to the conclusion that the Jamisons would not have taken their beloved daughter Madyson with them if some drug-related issue was in place. In conclusion, sheriff stated that there was no suspects in the case, and the Jamisons' case still remains unsolved.
If you found this case compelling, don't forget to like the video, comment down below your take on it, and please subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the notification bell in order to stay up to date each time we reveal a new shocking case. Until next time, stay safe and keep your eyes peeled. You never know what's lurking in the shadows.